What's up, G-Show Land, and welcome to another episode of the G-Show Podcast. I am G1, and this is the Godzilla Block Party. Woo! Now, it's kind of crazy because I just did a podcast, a Godzilla Block Party, with one of the originators, the originator of the G-Show Podcast, with G95, aka Matt, and now I have the pleasure of being here with my brother from another mother, my right hand when it comes to Godzilla on the Godzilla Block Party, G73, aka Megzy, aka my brother Chase. What the hell's going on?
Not much, man. Just running off this hype for this new Godzilla Minus One.
Listen, man, this trailer came out on Tuesday. And I mean, it was something else. I mean, it's 30 seconds. It's 30 seconds. And all we know is while this movie comes out in Japan November 3rd, and I wish it would have came out worldwide November 3rd, but I have to take his seat back because Toho said no, but you get it December 1st. We won't have to wait that long after initial release, which I'm happy for. But still, as I wouldn't say angry, but as hyped as I am, I'm like super, super hyped. I don't think I've been hyped about a Godzilla movie like this. Maybe GVK, only because of the concept, Godzilla versus Kong in the Legendary Universe. And the first time Godzilla and Kong is facing off since, 1962. It's like just a whole bunch of things going in my head like, this is going to be nuts. But this is different. This is going to be nuts. What's your take?
I am very, very hungry to see what's coming next. They are absolutely showing not a lot, but a lot around this Godzilla. Like, they've already posted stuff of like the creation process of it. Like, I found, and I posted it to Messenger, but they had a storyboard, and so that was pretty cool to see. And it's like Godzilla swimming in the ocean and this ship discovering him, and he's like coming out and everything. I thought that was pretty cool. But I'm just anticipated to see what's coming next, because like that 30-second teaser, like it piqued my interest. But I'm like, I think as we always are when we see these trailers and teasers, is that we're left with more questions. Like I want to know like why post-war Japan. And also like the whole, centrication around 54, like, are they, I don't know how to feel about that. And it's like, are they trying to say that 50, like, I know they're not saying like 54 is irrelevant anymore, but, or irrelevant, but I'm curious as to why they chose this time frame. And I hope it's not a statement to like hurt any other part of their franchise, which I mean I don't think it is, but it just leaves me with that speculation, like why. So I'm very curious about that, like why post-war Japan, like what makes that so important, because 54 was so important in its own with the accumulation of the atomic bomb and stuff like that, and the hydrogen bomb and stuff. So I'm just curious as to what that entails. But like with this Godzilla design too, I'm wanting to see more of it in action, because like I don't know how, to me this Godzilla looks big, and I don't know how big he's actually going to be, and so I'm curious about that as well. I mean, there's a lot of things too, and what's really interesting is seeing that Toho put out not different trailers, but the same trailer but in different languages. Like I saw a Spanish one the other day and stuff, and I think there's a German one out and stuff. And I think that's cool, because that's Toho stepping up to that plate for them wanting to be more universal.
Yeah. And
they didn't do that for Shin Godzilla. So I'm interested for sure to see what's going on. But I'm excited too. It's just like I'm waiting for that, like I don't know. It's like my excitement's ignited, but it hasn't fully exploded. It's like I'm waiting to see something that makes me go like, oh my God, holy shit. And I don't know what that is yet. And I don't think if I will see that. Honestly, it might be possible that we just get one trailer after this and that's it. But like, it's so close to November anyways now. Like, I could see us just getting that little teaser. So I don't know. I don't know.
I think this teaser was a perfect place to put it in July. I absolutely believe we'll get more as November 3rd comes rolling around. I would say by mid-September, beginning of October, we get the official full trailer. Like, honest, like a 100% official trailer we will get. And then you don't have to do anything, because let's say that trailer comes out in October. You can rock that trailer. You can ride that trailer all the way into December for us,
Absolutely.
Especially if it comes out, like, let's say, the end of September, early October. Then it's only a month away for it to come out in Japan. So we can totally ride one trailer, for 2 months. And I'll be okay with that. I don't want to know too much about this movie, going into the movie. I want to go into the movie and see it for what it is. And for all intents and purposes right now, it seems like this ain't going to be like Shin Godzilla, which had, like, let's say a 2-week release and then that was it. This seems like at minimum, it'll be out in theaters for at least a month. And I don't know 100%, but the way it's been marketed, and by marketed I mean I've seen this trailer on Fandango's website, I've seen it on IGN's website, I've seen it on Bloody Disgusting website, I've seen it on Rotten Tomatoes, I've seen it on AMC. I've seen this trailer thrown around in a bunch of different places.
The movie theater I worked for is on Cinemark. They had a trailer for it too.
Oh, thank God, because that was one of my biggest things. I was like, I hope this comes out in Cinemark, because honestly, who knows if they put this movie out and let's say for me, AMC says where I live, they have the IMAX and the Dolby Theater. Who's to say they'll put it out in that and not in just their standard theater? But with Cinemark, my fingers are crossed that maybe, just maybe, if there's nothing coming out December 1st, this goes on an XD screen, and then I go see it like 5 times in a row. You know what I mean? Then I just go see it 5 times in a row. I just buy my popcorn and my nachos and my soda, and I pay for the refills.
And your Raisinets.
And my Raisinets. You know what? I'm just saying, like, it would be great. But as far as what you were saying about, like, the post-war, right? I don't think this is going to in any way sully the legacy that Godzilla 54 has left, right? Only because Godzilla 54 spawned, 29 movies. It starts with 54. They do the entire Showa era. You can definitely make an argument that all of those Godzillas stem from 54, right? Or they could stand alone, like in the previous podcast with Brother Matt. He was like, yeah, they could totally stand on their own, but you could also see that, they can tie in. Whereas with the Heisei series, that's one continuous series. That is, from 54 to 84 to 89 to 95. That's all one series. The Millennium series was like, yeah, no, it's whatever you want it to be. Like, there were like, 4 different continuities in the Millennium series?
Yeah.
You had G2K. I don't think Godzilla X Megaguirus Godzilla is the same Godzilla from G2K. Actually, I know for a fact it's not.
And Godzilla Megaguirus, that's supposed to be the 54 Godzilla.
Exactly, right. Exactly.
And then, like, in the Tokyo SOS series, there was only the 54 attack, and then this Godzilla is a different one.
Right, and GMK is a different Godzilla, and then Final Wars is a different Godzilla. But they all had 54 in this, the 54 was a base, a jump off. Shin Godzilla was like, nope, bucking that trend. There is no 54. Just like 98. I'd say what you will. But it bucked the trend. The name is Godzilla. Bucked the trend. 54 is not involved. Same thing with Shin Godzilla. 54 is not involved. Bucks the trend. Brand new Godzilla for brand new audience. This movie, going 10 years prior to the established 54, I love it because it's the beginning of its own thing. This will not lead up to 54. This will have no connection to 54. This is a brand new branch of the Godzilla universe. And if done correctly, will give us, as much as I love the Monsterverse, something better than the Monsterverse. And I say that because we grew up with these movies. We grew up with these Japanese movies, and in my, at least in my personal belief, and as much as I love legendary stuff, I want to see the Japanese versions, whether I like them or not. Like I don't like the Kiryu saga. I'm not a fan of that either movie. There's certain aspects of those movies that I enjoy, but as a whole, I don't like them. There's a lot of different things throughout the series that I'm not, I don't care for. But at the same time, totally respect it. I'm totally happy they came out, and same with Shin Godzilla. I am happy it came out. I am happy that I seen it in theaters twice, and both times the theater was packed, which was crazy because, again, Godzilla. So, and not American, Japanese. So, with this,
and
yeah.
I think with me, like, that's exactly where I'm at. As much as I love the legendary stuff, I feel like this resurgence of Godzilla isn't going to be complete for me, or at least full circle, until I see Toho make a film where Godzilla fights something. And that's my big thing, is we can do Godzilla solo movies anytime. But my thing is I'm hungry to see Godzilla fight either a new monster or an old monster, just because if I really want to grab back into that childhood of mine, that would make it totally satisfying. So I'm hoping too that this will stem into, because there's nothing completely concrete on what Toho's been wanting to do. They've said they wanted to make their own universe and stuff, and that still apparently is the thing, because I did post that the other day that IGN dropped the excerpt from the producer.
Yep.
Now I don't know if that's still canon, because that was an old excerpt from years ago when they brought up they wanted to do that. So I don't know if that's still the case. But if that is the case, I'm totally down to see this Godzilla duke it out with other monsters, because they do specifically state King Ghidorah and Mothra and Gigan. So, it'll be interesting to see for sure. But that's what I would like, just because I really, really want to see. I want to see what Toho can do now with them doing CGI and stuff. Like, do they have what it takes to do monsters fighting with CGI and stuff like that? And so I that's where I'm at with it personally, is I'm hungry to see where it goes and what it can stem into. So I was so this is funny, because this kind of came up a topic in the previous podcast with Matt, and I will argue against that, only because to have Godzilla fight another monster in this particular movie, in Godzilla Minus One, I think it takes away from what this movie seems to be going for, especially with this teaser trailer. The idea that this is literally post-war Japan, not 10 years later, but literally Japan waving the flag saying, all right, we give up. It could be occupied at the time too, which is, kind of scary when you think about it. This is my country. We went to war, we lost, we gave up, and now we're occupied by another force. And then all of a sudden, bam, here comes something nobody's ever seen. And what do we do? How do we deal? And I think that right there is a very important crux for Godzilla, because it brings more a human emotion. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to see monster fights.
I just don't want to see monster fights here in this movie, right? Because I think it diminishes Godzilla in a sense, as far as an allegory to a force of nature or, a nuclear warning. And the fact that this takes place directly after the bombs drop and Japan says, yo,
Right.
no mas. And then Godzilla shows up. It should only be Godzilla. And Matt made a great point because he's like, that's a very like dark tone. That's like a very emotional tone. But you add another monster for a fight, then it becomes fun. And I agree with that 100%. Because yes, monster fights are fun. Like, that's why we love them, right? Because they're fun. They could be vicious and brutal. I mean, think about 1933's King Kong when he's fighting a T-Rex. It's vicious, it's brutal, it's fun. And then he rips its jaw in half. And you're like, wait, what? It's great. But at the same time, it works for Kong because it shows he's the king, right? With Godzilla, what would you do? Would you sacrifice a Toho kaiju? Or would you do something like the Monsterverse stuff? There's an atomic blast. There's Godzilla. And then there's some kind of weird mutated whale that we've never seen before. And Godzilla just decimates it real quick. I don't know if I want to see all that. I like the idea that Japan is already in a rut. And it only gets worse from here. So in that regard, seeing a monster fight in that aspect, for me, I don't want to see that yet. I would rather wait on that. I want to see a straight up scary Godzilla movie. I mean, think about it. Shin Godzilla could have been in. Again, I'm not knocking this movie. This is not me knocking it. Shin Godzilla could have been this movie, but all Shin Godzilla did was walk until it got bombed in the back, and then it reacted. This Godzilla, in the eyes alone, you can see there's an intelligence there. This thing is like, yo, it's ready to go. In all of that, and we're going to get to this we'll get to this in a second too, but as soon as this trailer dropped, Toho was like, here you go, here you go, here you go. This is what it looks like. Here's like a fucking 360 look at Godzilla for this movie. Here's a giant life-size statue in Toho cinemas. Like, they did not shy away at all. And maybe it was because they already had a template with Godzilla the Ride, and then, the director who did Godzilla the Ride, if I'm not mistaken, he had a hand in it. Yeah. Just took that and then tweaked it to his ultimate vision.
And he's directing this movie.
And I love that idea. I love the idea that he used it in that Always Sunny on whatever, that snippet of Godzilla in there. He takes that was what, 2006, 2007?
Yeah, it was
old. And then to Godzilla the Ride, and then to Godzilla -1. And I'll be honest, like, I do not hate the fact that this is Godzilla the Ride tweaked. Because when Godzilla the Ride came out, I said, why isn't that in the movie? And
we all said that.
Like, literally, everybody. And that's the thing, like, right now I see online a couple of people, there's opposition. And I'm like, wait a minute. We were all on the same page.
Yeah, there was no opposition before.
Yeah, exactly. So what are we doing now? Come on, let's stop.
The cockroach is coming out of the crawl space,
Everybody needs to have a button, everybody needs a button to be pressed. Click my video. I hate this Godzilla. Secretly, they're jerking off to it. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
I don't know. I going back, I do like the post-war era. I literally love that it's literally during post-war. Like, this is it. And they're in a rut, and bam, something absolutely fantastical and unbelievable happens. And there's a giant monster. What do we do? And this 30 seconds captured that. So I can't wait for a minute 25-second trailer. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what the CEO said, Kenji. I think his name's Kenji, something like that. He says it's despair upon despair.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, you know, I'm in.
Harking back to the whole monster thing, I'm totally okay in that sense. Like, if this sets up a world for like that, and like I see that, because I would love for them to establish, hey, this is our god monster, Godzilla, our destroyer, and then after this film, we're gonna have him start going up against things, or you know, as long as it's story written tastefully, you know, because I don't want to just shoehorned. But like, to me, like, let's say they create the most scariest and vicious Godzilla we've seen, and we're left at the end of that movie going like, holy shit, how do they get rid of that? And then there's like illuminating monster, or like, you know, or like a Easter egg or a hint at something next of like a monster fight, or you know, or there, say like at the very end of the movie, right before the credits roll, there's another monster, and then it just cuts. You know, then you're left with that. Oh, how does Godzilla square up with this? And that's going to add a lot of intriguement to me. You know, like I'll be like, okay, so they showed us how bad this Godzilla is. What's going to match him? You know, and like, of course, that would totally change the tone and the continuity in the next one. But like, that would definitely, like, for them wanting to open a world of monsters to make their universe, like they've been saying, like, I would be okay with that for sure. I would love for them to establish Godzilla first, and then everything else follows.
That's exactly what I want. Literally, like, honest to God, what I feel like they're doing is I feel like they're going to remake the Showa era. And that's
what it feels like to me too.
And I'm not mad at that. I actually want that. You know, I want that. And with Pluto TV and the Godzilla channel, and you know, I've been sitting here and that shit's been constantly on. If I'm not watching anything else and the TV's on, it's on that channel. So the constant replays of all of these movies, I love like, it really brings back those memories, like how much I love these movies. And I don't hate them where I don't want to say, oh yeah, this movie needs a remake because this one sucked. No, I'm like, could you imagine what they would do if they remade this movie? And I like that idea, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I'm so open to it, but at the same time, I'm like, whether they remake certain movies or they go in different directions with these kaiju, I'm totally down. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. I don't need to see King Ghidorah until the very, very end of this saga. If they're going a whole series. King Ghidorah needs to be Thanos. Now, that being said, what if Toho is like, what we're going to do is encompass our entire Godzilla series, from the Showa to the Heisei to the Millennium, and bring that all in. We're going to use every monster we can, kind of like the comic books do, you know? And right. I'm like, okay, if you have a plan for that, the podcast, the after party we did while you had to leave, Gam's made a great point. He was like, what if you do a Rodan movie and Rodan actually fights Megaguirus? Because the Meganulon Rodan is eaten in the original Rodan movie. And I'm like, oh, I need that movie now. That's the movie I want, you know? Like, I totally want that movie. I would love to see that. And it's kind of like the comic books Godzilla Rivals, you know? Like, we pit this kaiju against this kaiju. If you do that outside of Godzilla, let's say, because I think I read somewhere, it might have been what you posted, a Godzilla movie every other year. That's cool.
Every 2 years, they're saying.
That's cool. That means that in the year before that, you drop another monster. You drop another monster movie. You drop a Mothra. You drop a Rodan. You drop War of the fucking Gargantuas. You know what I'm saying? These are things that I'm totally down with. I don't know how open I would be to, let's say, Space Godzilla, or even Biollante to that effect. Biollante would have to be reworked, But I mean, who knows,
I
man?
think I would choose Biollante first over Space Godzilla.
Oh, absolutely. Like I honestly, I don't think I would want to see another Space Godzilla. That's just me personally. It worked when it worked. It worked for what it was back then. But for right now,
like,
nah.
Especially if the rumors about Godzilla New Empire is true about that villain monster. I don't know if I want Space Godzilla in anything else.
Yeah, no, listen.
Yeah.
To me, the only time Space Godzilla worked, in all honesty, was Invasion of Astro Monster when Godzilla's on Planet X. Space Godzilla. That's all I'm trying to say, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. It's been done before. That's all I'm trying to say. But no, I'm with you, man. I honestly believe that Godzilla Minus One is the crux. It's the very beginning. It's a solo film, and from this moment on, it is a brand new branch of Godzilla history.
They're rebooting.
And they reboot, yeah. And I'm not mad at that because Toho has done it already. Toho has done it 3 times. 3 times. It's done it with Heisei, it's done it with Millennium, and it's done it with Shin. Hell, 4 times. It's done it with the anime trilogy that we shall not talk about. Fucking Singular Point. There's a lot of different, and then the Legendary Universe, which again, that's a Godzilla. It's Godzilla. Like, we see that, and it's not because it says it's Godzilla. It's we see that and we recognize Godzilla, right? We're like, oh yeah, that's a Godzilla. That's Godzilla. That's what this look did. That's what, when Toho was like, yo, here we go. There you are. That's it.
In that shot where he's picking up the train with his teeth at the very end before it cuts, you can see they gave him the gills that Legendary has. That's
beautiful.
Yeah.
I watched, there was a YouTube video this morning. I watched that the guy, Giwa Chan, yeah, I butchered the name. I'm sorry. But the guy that basically alerted me to July 11th a couple weeks ago, where I was going crazy in a thread like, oh, Godzilla Zero, here we go. He was at Toho Cinemas and he was filming the giant statue. I mean, like, it was all up close and personal, and then he bought the merchandise at the cinema. And then he went home and he was putting it on display. And I'll tell you right now, I don't care what it costs. If it costs me $100, $200, I want a keychain. I don't give a fuck. I want one. Like, it was dope. But it was so in depth with the detail. Now, I don't understand what he was saying because, again, he was speaking Japanese. But he was focusing in on all of the aspects of Godzilla, from the spine to the feet to the face to the eyes, like, to the hands, to the elbows. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, in-depth detail on this character. And I'm like, I love it. I love it. And I know that I have to see it in motion, fully. The teaser just showed, him stomping and then him coming down to bite up on that train. But to see that thing in motion, I need to, so I can solidify my belief, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I love this design. I love it. This can possibly be my favorite design of all time. And that's crazy because there are a plethora of Godzilla designs that I love, and the majority of them come from the Heisei series. 84 silhouette is my favorite. It's gorgeous, but there is something about Godzilla Minus One that just hits on every single level for me. And things that I didn't think I would normally like, things that I've seen in fan work prior to Godzilla the Ride or anything. The armored shoulders, right? The armored shoulders, the elongated elbows.
It's like the spines in his elbows, yeah.
Yeah, I used to see pictures like that from when Final Wars came out. I'm like, nah, I don't know. But this is different. It's like, it works for whatever reason. For me, it's working. I gotta see it in action. But yeah, man, I gotta be honest. I think I'm in love. I think I'm in love.
Honestly, one of the reasons why I really like it is because I see so much of Heisei in it. Like, I see so much Heisei, but yet I also see stuff of, like, legendary and, like, modernized takes, too. Like, I was saying I wanted to see a live action with Godzilla Ultima, because I love that design. But, like, this, like, I like, the fact that it's actually the Godzilla the Ride design with just a few modern updates, to me, is fucking cool. Like, I think it's cool. Like, again, like, I'm not at the point where it's, like, saying it's one of my favorites, but I'm glad that it's not Shin Godzilla, you know?
Right.
But no, generally, I do like this design. I do. I think it's great. There's nothing I can say that's bad about it. Even, like, the dorsal plates, they're a little bit out there, but, like, I mean, you know what Michael Dougherty said? That's his crown. You know, so I'm okay with that.
The dorsal plates it's intriguing because, like you said, you definitely see Heisei. Like, that's a Heisei face. Like, there's no way around it.
Right.
That's a Heisei face with the Godzilla, like with the legendary Godzilla when he opens his mouth. That like the cheek stuff, whatever. Like you see
the jaw. Yeah.
Yeah. That skin flap there. That's cool. I love that. I love the teeth again. The eyes are feral. The eyes are legit, almost legendary eyes.
Yeah.
But the spikes are 2000 spikes, right? They're just muted and less jagged. They're not purple. Like, I always loved that about the G2K design, right? But at the same time, I always found them a little jarring. For whatever reason. Like, I thought maybe they might have been too out there, right? Then I look at this thing, and they are out there, but they feel like Godzilla's spines. They're and again, the color palette, that muted gray, almost brownish, like Matt was talking about today. He wasn't a fan. He said that he sees a lot of brown in there. I see what he's talking about. I'm not mad at it, you know? Like, I'm not. But the spikes, man, those spikes, those spines, they're beautiful. I don't know what it is. But I love it. But I might love it now and then hate it when I see it in motion. I doubt that, but it's a possibility, you know? Like,
well, they're already doing one thing more that they didn't do in Shin Godzilla, and they have him attacking a train with his mouth. So that's one thing that I'm interested to see, just that shot alone, because Shin Godzilla just didn't do anything. And again, that's not me talking shit about the movie. That's just stating what I see, you know. So, like, I'm excited to see because I really want Toho to succeed in what they do, you know. And so seeing the CGI take a further step, to me, is what's going to be seeing them succeed.
Okay.
Because I don't think Toho can't, I don't doubt Toho's storytelling abilities. I think they really take their time in the stories they want to tell. And I mean, now, years ago, you know, many years ago, you know, back in the Showa era, maybe that was a different story. But nowadays, I feel like they take it a lot more seriously. So, like, I'm not worried about that. But what I want to know is to see how has their CGI improved, because the CGI in those Godzilla movies from Toho's slate has always been a struggle. And to see it now where it's at, you know, that makes me very, very excited to see, like, how is this monster going to move fast? You know, how is this going to look in CGI, you know? And so I'm excited to see where that goes.
I'll tell you right now, one of my favorite shots in that trailer is Godzilla's taking a step and seeing the ground swell.
The street breaks.
Oh, because we've seen that a million times, but every time we see it, Godzilla's foot is going through the street, right? And that's it. Mm-hmm. It leaves a hole. This time we see the street actually buckle up and people fly off of it. And I think that is amazing. And that's literally a split second of a 30-second trailer. And I sit there and I'm like, amazing, you know? And it is. And that's the thing, like that, it just sucks me right in. Look, How many podcasts did we do when Shin Godzilla's trailer came out? We gushed. I think we did like one time. We did like 2 or 3 in one day. We were just talking about it like it was insane. But we still had this, I don't know about the look, or we speculated on things. Maybe it's 85 Godzilla and they're going back and it's busting out the volcano. That's why it looks like that. I remember all of that. We have no basis on this one. We have zero basis on this.
And to be honest, it throws me off because maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm not as hungry as I thought I would be. Even though I'm excited as shit, but I'm not like, there's nothing really for me to dig for at this point. There's nothing for me to look for. I got the Godzilla design, and the thing is I honestly appreciate Toho for doing that. I do, because like it honestly, as much as I love doing it, it's fucking stressful. It's stressful when you go online every night and try to look for information on the dark side of Twitter, in Japan, with their servers trying to find stuff posted. It's stressful looking up information, and for me to just sit back, and I think that's what's weird is like, for once I feel like I can actually just enjoy the process of a Godzilla movie coming out instead of actually trying to like go through information and try and find stuff. Now, like if I'm up at night and I see a trailer drop or something, or something posted that they talk about it, of course I'm going to be all over it, but I'm not going to go out there and expect to look at it. Because like with Shin Godzilla, I learned the time of days they would drop news, and it would be about 3 a.m. our time. And that's when Godzilla news would drop. And so I would be awake up to 3 a.m. looking for Godzilla stuff. And every time I was looking for it, I would eventually find something being said. Now I feel like I can just sit back and relax and just enjoy this whole process and know that it's not going to be that much longer till this comes out.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy, too, because, we're going to have, like, side-by-side Godzilla movies. So, all right, let's switch gears from Toho to Legendary. Because with this whole Hollywood strike going on, you broke it to me, you broke it to us at least, that Legendary has pulled out of Comic-Con, which is coming up in about a week or two, and they won't be at Hall H. And they were going to talk about Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, and now that's gone.
Going to show its first trailer.
So let me ask you this: just because they pulled out of Hall H, do you think they still dropped the trailer regardless?
Yeah, I think because they kind of have to, because at this point, with the strike going on, that can take a long time. And I think Hollywood is kind of reassessing everything now because, and it's not just like a guess, it's just from what I've been seeing, like Deadpool got delayed and a lot of other movies are getting delayed. And so, like, why wouldn't Godzilla get delayed? Even though it's finished, there's still writers that are part of, and companies that are striking against as well, that are, striking against, we don't want our film out because we're being misrepresented. So it's how I feel is if Legendary wants to drop a trailer and grab the attention of people, it would not be the time to do it this July with everything going on, because I feel like everyone's distracted right now about this strike thing. Like, I know it's not the biggest thing in news, but it is a big thing to where they can't like release a trailer and say, hey, I mean, I guess they could. They could release a trailer and say, hey, it comes out in March, and then just announce that it delays, but that also hurts them, because delays aren't necessarily good for films, most of the time. But yet again, I can see them still dropping a trailer. But the thing is, with March being a little bit of a ways away, I would wait. But yet again, I wouldn't want a Godzilla New Empire trailer out in December when we have that new Godzilla movie out. Now, they could probably show it during the movie, but I mean, I don't know if I would show anything beforehand or after the fact. I mean, I guess you could show after the fact, because after the fact is fine, but beforehand I would keep it alone, just because I do feel like since this Godzilla movie is going to be broadcasted more for a wider audience, it looks like you are going to get those people that are confused. I already do have that, because I was talking to people just the other day at the theater. Some people they were talking to me about my movies I like, and I said I like Godzilla, and they're like, well, they were confused by difference of Toho films and the Legendary films.
I was going to ask you that.
Like, yeah, so like that. I mean, and that's always depending on who the individual is, but I just don't think it would necessarily be smart for Legendary to drop something so soon. I mean, I'm still okay with that little teaser we got a couple months ago. I'm not necessarily ready for a trailer, just because March is such a long ways away. And I mean, Comic-Con hasn't been doing well enough to promote things. I wouldn't use Comic-Con as my anchor point for a big film when Comic-Con's losing thousands and thousands of people a year now. Right. So I don't know, but yet again, I don't know where you would put the new Empire trailer. So I don't know. To be honest, as much as I love the idea of Godzilla movies back to back, I personally don't like it at the same time, just because I have that paranoia of one film hurting the other. And I feel like so to put it in the easiest terms, if it was up to me, I would delay New Empire a year and let the Toho film have its air, and then I'd put out my movie, and then let Toho do whatever they want next, because I'm not saying the -1's going to damage New Empire, but with the fact that the movies that have been coming out this summer have all been box office bombs, I don't see it doing New Empire any favors when Godzilla gets confused. So, like, with the people seeing Godzilla get confused, I honestly would wait, but I don't know. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. So, but that's honestly how I feel. I personally would like a gap, but I'm happy either way. But as far as the new Empire trailer, I would be figuring something out. I wouldn't be putting it out so soon, but I don't know. But the thing is if those toy leaks were true, then you kind of have to do something, but I don't know. I really don't know. I think there's a lot of leaks out with New Empire right now. I feel like Legendary might be in a spot where they are maybe panicking, but a lot of the stuff coming around those leaks are saying they're fake. I hope they're fake, but the thing is they were saying some of the leaks for GVK were fake, and they ended up being true.
I don't think those toy leaks are fake. I'll be honest with you.
I don't think they're fake either.
No, those look legit, especially the Shimu thing.
Shimu.
Yeah, if Shimu is the quadruped creature, the bluish Nessie looking creature with the Anguirus spikes on its back. It's not Anguirus, obviously. It's got a long neck and a long tail. But I digress. With Legendary and dropping a trailer at Comic-Con, if they were at Comic-Con, I don't see an issue with that, because what Comic-Con used to do was, like, the whole thing, Hall H Marvel, especially Marvel, I just use Marvel as an example, they would drop trailers at Comic-Con in July for movies that wouldn't come out until the next May. March is way closer. Right. So this is what I feel, and I feel bad now for Toho, because honestly, I think it would have been a perfect symmetry if Legendary showed up at Comic-Con, right? And they're not only pimping, Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire, but they start talking about Godzilla Minus One and how if it wasn't for Toho, this wouldn't be possible. And the only reason why I say that is because then you have Legendary differentiating the two. This is Toho's thing. This is our thing, and it's giving more publicity to Toho.
They're also backing Toho's film.
Exactly. They're giving more publicity to Toho, more eyes. Because, for instance, you know, the trailer came out. Now, I personally, I watch that trailer every fucking day. That teaser trailer, that 30-second.
I do too.
Godzilla
every
Minus
night
One.
before I go to bed.
Absolutely. I watch it all the time. But I watch it on the official Godzilla channel, like the official Toho channel, because I want that to get 1 million views. And right now it's sitting at like 900-something thousand, right? And it kills me because when Godzilla vs. Kong trailer came out, that shit had like 2 million views in a day. And I'm like, yeah! You know, like, because again, Godzilla. So I watch it on there, but I know IGN has, and like I said, there's a whole bunch of different places that have it. And I'll put them on and I'll watch it and I'll like it on their, you know, on their feeds just to, again, garner attention towards Godzilla. That being said, there are people on, you know, the other channels, not the official Toho channel, but there are people, let's say I'm going to take IGN, for example, who don't know the difference, who thinks this is a Shin Godzilla sequel, even though it's clearly not. But I can understand why they might think, hey, is this a Shin Godzilla 2 thing? They might have seen it once, and not even a Godzilla fan, a casual. And they're like, you know, they might not remember the movie. They might not remember what happened or what they were talking about. They just might remember the Godzilla sequences in that movie. And I can't knock them for that because there's plenty of movies that I just remember certain sequences for. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember the movie. I just remember, oh man, that was dope in this movie. So I can't get mad. But I feel like with Legendary backing out of Comic-Con, and I understand why, but I feel like with them backing out, it kind of is a missed opportunity for Toho. Because I believe Legendary could have pimped them and been like, hey, if it wasn't for Toho and their Godzilla, we would not be here. And this is this.
You want
to
know what's the fucked up part about that, though? Is there were rumors that Toho was going to be there, too. Toho was going to be there in promotion for Legendary, and they were going to also be having merchandise for the Minus One.
I mean, here's the deal, too. Like, it's not far-fetched to say Toho can't still do that because Toho has nothing to do with whatever's going on in Hollywood. They're in Japan. They're their own thing. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to abide by the rules and regulations or whatever the hell, you know, the Hollywood and the SAG people are dealing with. Screen Actors Guild, just so y'all know. I know that because a long time ago, about 25 years ago, I dipped my toe. So I'm just saying. But that's why I'm like, I'm happy because this has really no effect on Godzilla Minus One coming out in December in theaters because it has nothing to do with Hollywood. It doesn't seem like a Hollywood studio is going to distribute the movie out here. Because if it was, we would have seen the Legendary logo pop up at least.
Dude, that would be pretty cool, though, if Legendary did do that.
Yes, but I think Toho is going to go through, and Matt said this earlier, I kind of figure, I kind of feel that it's Toho will probably go through like Funimation again, or Crunchyroll, like they did with Shin.
Yeah.
You know, and
that makes me wonder, though, does that mean we're going to get a dubbed version?
That's an interesting question because I saw Shin Godzilla and it was subtitled, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I saw subtitles too.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. And it's crazy to think.
Didn't we get the sub? I mean, the dub. When did we get the dub? Was it only with the DVD?
I think so.
Because I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I know I saw it subtitled, but I can't remember when we got the dub.
It had to be with the DVD and the home video release.
Had to have been, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can, like, I'm pretty sure you can switch sub and dub through Funimation, but I haven't watched it on Funimation, and because Crunchyroll bought it out, I didn't want to renew my Funimation thing because it's more money. That's a whole nother podcast. But yeah, it sucks because I really, really think that Legendary could have helped, and not really helped, but gave props to Toho at Comic-Con.
Well, now that Toho and Legendary are shaking hands, why not?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now, I do see it as this is a front. Toho still wants to put on their boots and say, hey, don't forget we're the boss. I can definitely see Toho doing that. But, making it a friendly thing. But the other thing I want to say, too, is with Toho announcing that this movie's going to be, with them putting out the teaser trailers in different languages, that's another thing, too, is I'm glad that they up front said, yes, our movie will be coming to the United States. Because I remember when Shin Godzilla was coming out, we were like, well, when is it going to come up? And we had to wait almost 3 months after, and it was like an announcement that wasn't even set in stone or executive. It was like, are we sure this is even legitimate?
Yep.
And now it's like, okay, so we have nothing to worry about. Nothing. And I appreciate Toho doing that. I really do.
The only thing we got to worry about is
they're taking that care.
Yeah, the only thing we got to worry about is like an astronomical cataclysm. You know what I'm saying? Like the dinosaurs version 2, the extinction level events. And please, let's not even think about that. Knock on the head.
Or Putin dropping the bomb.
No. Everybody wants to see Godzilla Minus One. Everybody wants to see Godzilla Minus One.
That's right. And then Putin's like, no, it's Putin minus one.
Nope. Godzilla. Everybody wants to see Godzilla Minus One. Everybody's in the entire world. And this is, again, I remember when you came to us and you were saying, yo, Toho wants to do this global Godzilla initiative, this worldwide Godzilla initiative. And I'm like, how? How do they do that? What do they do? They've got nothing. Everything is Legendary. Shin already came out. What could they possibly do? And then here we are, a couple years later. Godzilla Minus One is shown in different languages. These 30-second clip, this 30-second trailer in different languages, and it's like, oh, that's how you do it. That's exactly how you do it. Of course.
That's distributing it to the places that want it.
Yeah.
Not taking the stinginess into of, oh, well, if it doesn't make money, just putting it out there. That's getting just even in the long run, if you put it, let's say you put Godzilla Minus One in Singapore, even though Singapore loves Godzilla, as we saw from their Shin Godzilla trailer they put together, talking shit about Legendary. We know that they, even if it just gets a few people, as a word of mouth is enough to keep it in business. It's just in the long run, it's going to pay off because the more people that get introduced to Godzilla and like the monster, they're going to come back. So I think that this is a good start. And the fact also, too, that we're getting an actual Godzilla store in Texas.
In Texas?
Yeah, they're dropping a Godzilla store in Texas.
So, all right. So I thought they were doing that e-commerce store, like, oh, here's the official. I think I lost Brother Chase. But anyway, the official Godzilla store was going to be like online, and we can be able to like we could be able to buy it instead of going through Japanese stores to import things, which I'm not opposed to, but when I tried to do it, it didn't work out in my favor, which was very upsetting, and it happened twice. It happened twice, and it
yeah. I don't know. I did hear e-commerce type store, so then that is another one. But there's something about it that was supposed to be different in the last Godzilla store, they mentioned that they did. I don't know. Let me see if I can find something for that.
You know what the crazy thing with that is too is if it's like, let's say, a straight up brick and mortar store in Texas, the amount of merchandise they need to satisfy Godzilla fans across the states is crazy.
Okay.
It's crazy.
So this is what the article says. Toho International, an offshoot of the storied Japanese film and TV giant Toho, is to launch twin e-commerce sites serving the growing legion of North American fans of Japanese pop culture. One platform is specific to the Godzilla brand. The other is Ezo, and which will cater to a wider range of anime fans who will be served with original Japanese merchandise. The moves are being held by Chris.
What was that? Was that last part? Oh, I think we lost Brother Chase again. Which is he's coming back. Here we go. You there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You dipped out for a second. Now you're back.
Okay. What was the last part you heard?
Chris Ezo?
The other is Ezo, which will cater to a wider range of anime fans. The moves are being headed by Kristen Parcel, a GM at Toho International.
Okay.
And her U.S.-based team will join the firm from Crunchyroll. At the end of last year, the foresee the twin initiatives as a business with $100 million of revenue within a few years. Their in-house operation comprises of anime and Godzilla brands, and also includes specialists in merchandising, buying, and fashion. The sites go live this summer.
So that right there, what you just said, that the last couple sentences from Crunchyroll on, that right there leads me to believe that it won't be an American distributor. It will definitely come out under the Crunchyroll banner, whether it's Crunchyroll, Funimation, Crunchyroll, whatever the case may be. But Godzilla Minus One is going to come out under that. They'll drop under that. And it makes sense because, especially if they're working with the anime departments, if I'm not mistaken, Crunchyroll, well, it's not just Crunchyroll. I mean, it's everywhere, but the Demon Slayer movie. That movie came out, and that was like a month-long theatrical, maybe 2-month-long theatrical event.
Right.
It wasn't a Fathom event. So I could totally see that now Godzilla dropping under that banner, especially because of what you just read. So Toho is in cahoot, not in cahoot, but they're utilizing that, for their gains, for their purposes. Drop Godzilla Minus One for us, and then whatever the e-commerce store. I mean,
the last part of this article, I'll read real quick before you say that. It says Godzilla they'll not only launch the store, but they're bringing the store from Japan to the they're basically selling the stuff from the Godzilla store in Japan.
Wait a minute. Are you serious? Are you saying they're going to sell whatever's in the Godzilla store Japan here to us direct? Because I'm telling you, two things I tried to buy. I tried to buy Godzilla the Ride figure and not the legitimate statue for like $350. That was about 3 years ago I tried to buy that. It didn't go through. Apparently it sold out right away, so I was definitely disappointed. And then this year, 2023, I went back because that money stayed in a wallet, from the place I was trying to buy it from. And I went back to try to buy that, but when I went back and it was in stock, I saw something different, something that I really wanted that was absolutely in stock. and it had came out in, I think, November, and I think this was, I'm gonna say, March or April. And I'm like, oh no, I need this instead of that. Same amount of money. And it was Godzilla 1984. I think the Yuki Sakai, I can't pronounce that, I don't remember. But it had the Super X, and I was like, yeah, no, I want that. That's a necessity. I need this in my life. Because, again, love Godzilla 1985. My favorite Godzilla movie, 1984-85, my favorite one. And it was in stock, and when I went to buy it, I got an email saying, sorry, we can't sell it to you because apparently the third party that I was trying to buy it through bought one too many products from the Godzilla store. And I'm sitting there saying, wait a minute, what? It's money. What are you talking about? But I got it. I understood. They were basically saying, we don't know if this person buying this for you is buying it for you and not trying to buy it and then mark it up, you know, at a higher price.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, oh, God, that sucks. Can I get my money back then? And they did. They gave me my money back, full refund. And I was like, thank you. But if you're telling me that the things that are in that Godzilla store Japan, we can buy now when that shit goes live.
That's what they're saying in the article.
I'm gonna be broke. I better start
buy
saving.
your wife something nice and say your apologies now.
She's getting a bunch of flowers and a card
and a Godzilla apron.
That's it. And it's gonna say, the card's gonna say, please don't hate me later. Love me now. No, hate me now. Love me later when it gets here.
And then you present it with your new Godzilla bed sheets.
Serious.
Godzilla shower curtain.
But it becomes difficult because then you see all of the Godzilla Minus One merchandise, and I'm like, I need it. And
there is a lot of Godzilla Minus One merchandise. That's what I'm surprised.
I'm telling you, like I said, I watched the Jiwa-chan video this morning, and I'm like, this is amazing shit. Like, I totally want this stuff. I don't know what it was. It was like, the original Godzilla logo they showed in November, right? That was the base. It was the base stand. And then you put this giant, it wasn't glass, but this giant, like, resin fucking plastic Godzilla sheet in it, and it just looked gorgeous, and I was like, I want that. I don't care how much it costs, just can I have it? But man, yeah, it's nuts, man. It's nuts.
Yeah, I gotta take it to Toho, man. You know, I'm proud of them and excited to be a part of a Toho customer. You know, thinking about this, you know, because they're putting their words where their mouth is, you know.
Yeah, pretty much. No, look, and we know how Toho is, right? We know how Toho has been very stingy with their IPs, especially Godzilla. And I remember, again, when you said, no, they want to brand it, they want to market it worldwide, and I'm just like, and I was sitting here arguing with you, like, it doesn't make sense. They're so stingy with it. Like, what would they do? And then yet here we are now. You were right. And again, this is why you're the right hand when it comes to Godzilla on a G show. You seek out this information. You're not making it up. You know what I mean? And I sit here and I say, fuck. Let's go, Toho. If you're going to do it, then fucking do it. Which is still why I'm mad that this movie doesn't come out November 3rd for everybody. I don't care. You know, if y'all been around the podcast, y'all know I'll get on some rants. You know, the
just in Godzilla New Empire, November 3rd.
Oh, trailer.
It's so fucking funny.
I mean, good Lord have mercy, man. And I'll go on a rant about that the way I go on rants about Rodan's Raw and King of the Monsters.
Now Andrew says Shin Godzilla isn't Gino.
Listen, he can say what he wants to say. We all know what the deal is. It's a Gino.
It's Gino. It is. It's Gino.
It's a Gino. It literally is a Gino. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm not going to argue with them anymore. I know what it is. They get mad because you call it out. So here's the deal. You can't have one without the other. You can't have your cake and eat it too. If you hate Godzilla 98 because it's not Godzilla, then you can't hate me for saying that Shin Godzilla is not Godzilla, because that is literally the same thing. It's not Godzilla. It's not.
It's kind of funny, hypocritical.
It's not Godzilla. It's a Gino. It's a Gino. That's why I wrote in the group chat, there's been 4 solo Godzilla movies. Godzilla 54, 84, 98, Shin. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. You can't have one without the other. I can't include Shin and not include 98.
Always Sunny on the 23rd or 3rd Street as a solo film too.
No, that was a snippet.
He's only in one scene.
That was, yep, that was literally I think a minute and a half clip, and the majority of it was the main character dreaming he was driving a go-kart or whatever it was, that little cart, through all the rubble, and you see,
which took place in the 40s or something like that.
Yeah, it did. It was definitely in that time. And you see more of Godzilla's atomic breath than you see of Godzilla in that sequence. But I ain't knocking it. I thought it was fucking fantastic. It was the first time we got to see CGI rendered Godzilla. It's not good, but it was dope for the time. It was dope for the time, and I still love it. And I still love it. And think about it. That design had a lot of GMK features. What was that?
It was the precursor for Godzilla the Ride.
And you can see how dramatically different that to Godzilla the Ride was.
And have you seen the whole Godzilla the Ride on YouTube?
Yes, I have.
So if you notice, what's kind of really cool, maybe you haven't noticed, but something I noticed is that when Godzilla the Ride shows himself, and the first time you see Godzilla, he does that pose in the Always Sunny when he shows up, where he steps forward and he turns his head and roars.
Yep.
He does it the same way in the Ride as he did in the Always Sunny scene, and I thought that was pretty cool because I love the way that's animated.
I hope that he does it for Godzilla Minus One.
I do too.
You would think it's coming because, I mean, the poster, that he's kind of almost there. All the shit Toho has dropped since Tuesday. It's kind of there. You know what I mean?
And I'm just so glad too that this isn't a Shin Godzilla design. He doesn't have no warped tail or bloody sores in his chest, which, I mean, again, I don't know. At the end of the day, I didn't really care that much for the design as a bad thing. It was just what he did. But I guess we'll still see. But as of this moment, I think this is going to be a true, fun, traditional Godzilla movie.
And it's going to...
Hear that? True and traditional.
True and traditional, and it's going to start something brand new. And, whether we get every single thing Toho does from Godzilla Minus One on out, here in the States theatrically, or streaming, which I think is probably going to be a thing. Honestly, if I was in charge of anything, I would say Godzilla movies theatrical, this one especially, like wide release, everything else Godzilla related. Like if Godzilla's in the title, limited release in theaters, and then direct to streaming to whichever services they want to go at. Maybe it's Crunchyroll. Maybe Toho has a thing with Crunchyroll. They do a lot of anime now. They are producing and distributing a lot of anime. So maybe it is Crunchyroll. So maybe we got to get a subscription to Crunchyroll. Maybe I got to stop paying for freaking Netflix so I can get a subscription to Crunchyroll.
What's going to happen is Toho's going to make their own streaming service, and it's going to be called GeForce Plus.
They already have one.
That's how we watch Godzilla movies.
They already have one. And if Gam Gam Z1 had his way, it would be on Pluto TV, which I ain't mad at. But it ain't happening. It ain't happening.
All right. I got to put my points in with Pluto. All right. Look, I love Godzilla, but I'm going to tell you, Pluto, even though Godzilla's on there, is one of the worst streaming sites you could have.
What?
So that's why I have not been impressed with Pluto.
How? What are you talking about? I love it. I haven't had any issues. What are you talking about?
They're just cheap. Cheap.
Yeah, well, they're cheap. It's free. That's why there's commercials.
I don't want to watch it with any advertisements.
Okay, so I get that. I understand where you're coming from. You were not around when... You weren't around before, like, the internet age, okay? Where we had no choice but to watch commercials without Godzilla.
I was on the internet when I was 5 in the 2000s.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. You've only been around for the internet age.
Pile up.
Right, but that's what I mean. It's like we didn't have that. We weren't privy to, having VHS Godzilla movies like that. They were out there, but it wasn't widespread. You had to go to certain video stores and like, oh shit, there's a Godzilla movie here. You had to find it. But we watched our Godzilla movies on television, on regular TV. There was no streaming, and we watched it with commercials, and it was beautiful. That's why I love shit like when oh my god, El Rey Channel did the Kaiju Live marathons. When Comic TV does it, when TNT did Monster Fest. I loved it because I get to watch old school Godzilla movies with commercials.
And I remember doing Sci-Fi used to do the Godzilla movies too.
Yeah, but they were doing like the Heisei and like I think some Millennium movies.
Yeah, well that's how I got introduced mostly to Gamera, was through Sci-Fi.
Yeah, so I mean like I stayed away from that stuff because I was like, I don't want to sully my Heisei movies with dubs. I like the subtitle stuff. But no, I love Pluto and I love the commercials. Hell, it's funny. Tuesday, before everything jumped off, I'm in my room and I'm setting up like I got a bunch of things so I can like hang my figures and shit and displays and shit. And I had the Godzilla channel running and shit, and there was this commercial and it was like for a cruise ship, but it was like sponsored by Jennifer Lopez. But it was Jennifer Lopez AI. And there was like a guy doing Jennifer Lopez and the AI stuff, but it was real Jennifer Lopez. And then she glitched, and then it was a guy. And like the cruise ship director was like, "What are you doing?" Like, and it was the funniest thing. So I was sitting here cracking up at commercials and then watching Godzilla movies. And I'm like, yeah, this is everything I need life to be right now. So
dude, that's funny because when they're like talking shit about AI, and like this is what's going to happen.
Exactly, but no,
that's all what that SAG Awards stuff is also about, is the misrepresentation and the use of AI, because they don't want to sell their likenesses to these companies that are just going to recycle their features and stuff,
right? And I
think that's fair.
No, I agree. I think that's fair too. Like because you can't make any royalties on that, and honestly, why would you sell your image to a studio? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. If that's the case, then you better pay me $6.6 billion right there.
Exactly. Like, 100% agree with that. You want my likeness? I'm not, like, no, this is what it is. So, I mean, like, the de-aging stuff is one thing. Like, Indiana Jones, for instance. Seeing de-aged Harrison Ford in the first 20 minutes of that movie was great because it was really well done, and it looked like Harrison. It looked like Indiana Jones right after The Last Crusade. It was like, oh shit, okay. But as soon as he started talking, you heard Harrison Ford, 70 plus, 80-year-old Harrison Ford going, yeah, hello, I'm in. I said, oh, no, thank you. Thank God
So
Godzilla ain't gonna sound
didn't
right.
match with the face.
Yeah, no, it didn't. No, it didn't at all. When the faces,
that's rough.
the face is, let's say, 40 years old, and the voice is definitely 70 plus, 80 years old. It's terrible. It was terrible. And I'm like, if you're gonna AI his face, you might as well AI his voice. I'm just saying.
You would think like that would kind of be expected at that point.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing we don't have to worry about that with the big guy Godzilla.
Yeah, except they might have to de-age him a bit. He is 70 some odd years old.
He looks a little young in this. He looks young. He looks good for his age in this movie.
Yeah, he looks good for a 70-year-old. I mean, his boobs are huge, but he looks good.
What?
That's something I was gonna. Dude, they gave him the fucking man boobs in the statuette. Did you see in Toho says he got the big old pecs?
No, they didn't.
And I was gonna bring that up because I was like, everyone's all complaining about his feet and his dorsal plates, but no one's talking about that he's rocking double D's.
No way. I don't believe that. I'm looking it up right now.
I mean, of course I'm bullshitting, but like, that's what I thought was kind of funny.
You're the worst. I'm over. Oh, I can kind of see what you're saying. No, those look muscular.
He's got some bitties.
No, those are pecs, bro. Those are pecs. I'm looking at it right now. They're total pecs. He works out. But
Almost changing, man. It's the first female Godzilla.
Stop it. Stop. Let's not. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for this episode of the Godzilla Block Party. Brother Chase, I want to thank you for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. It was a blast.
It was absolutely
an atomic blast.
Ooh. See, we could do this all night. And I want to thank all of y'all out there for listening and rocking with us on this edition of the Godzilla Block Party. I am G1, and we are out of here. Peace.